All right, ready to roll.
Rock and
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're your hosts today, TJ and
roll. Hey
Raj.
there.
So today we got Tuesday trends. We got some trends to talk about. We're still kind of in the what should we call it? Like red flag kind of area where unsustainability and performing too well and performing not well enough is amplified because of the small sample size that we're still in. So take with it a grain of salt, but today's the first Tuesday trends, the first real one of the year. So we're going to be talking about some players that we think are overperforming, underperforming, what to do. We're going to get into some buy low, sell high, and just get a taste for what Tuesday trends is going to be this year. Starting off with news and notes, injuries. Carter Hutton left the game tonight, did not return. So Karel Velmelka is your starting
Who?
goalie de facto in
Who
yep
the?
in Arizona.
That's kind of most of Arizona these days is like who?
Yeah, I don't know what to do there. Ellie Tolvanen day to day with an upper body injury. Samuel Girard is day to day. Matt Murray on IR with a head injury. Craig Smith is day to day undisclosed. Patrick Kane COVID protocol. Same for Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele. Ryan Ellis is a game time decision. Chris Letang is a positive COVID test, confirmed positive. So John Marino takes power play one there for as long as it takes for Letang to get over the COVID. And Mackenzie Blackwood is in the process of being vaccinated. He is not fully vaccinated yet, but he's getting there. I think he got his first dose, still got to get his second dose. So, the only person left unvaccinated is Tyler Bertuzzi at this rate. Yeah. So Mackenzie Blackwood back in the game.
The rest seems to be paying off for Bertuzzi.
Yeah. Lots of goals. Storylines. Marc-Andre Fleury and the Blackhawks, they're bad. I think they have five like even strength goals for, and they've had 22 scored on them. It's kind of what we thought about the Blackhawks. It's kind of how we thought they would be, but I thought we'd get more scoring. I thought they would be, 6-5 games, not 6-1 games, and that kind of thing. What are you doing with your Chicago Blackhawks, specifically Alex DeBrincat? Jonathan Toews to been a bit lackluster, and expectations were high coming into the year. I mean, Patrick Kane still doing Patrick Kane things, still got high hopes for the guy, but he's not going to be able to do it by himself. Even Seth Jones I think he's been on the ice for damn near every goal against. And, there's been plenty of talk about his analytics. He's not that good defensively, but we don't give a shit. We were here for the offense. He's the top power play quarterback. That's what we wanted. So DeBrincat, Toews, Jones, what are you doing here?
Thankful I didn't get most of those guys. DeBrincat had a good night the other night. I'm happy I didn't get those guys at this point. I mean, it's hard to believe Patrick Kane and any line that he's on is not going to get points eventually. But as a team, they stink, man. I don't know. I guess if you have any of those guys, you might as well hold because the market's probably about as low as can be. But could be looking for buy low people, because I don't see Seth Jones sucking for the whole year, and just, man, it's starting historically bad. I think it is actually. I know Montreal has had their worst start in actual all of their 120-year history, and Chicago's getting close to theirs now. So I don't see either of those continuing.
What are you doing with Fleury? He's the one that's kind of the reflection of how bad they're doing is coming down the hardest on Fleury. And, we kind of expected a 75-25 split, but right now Fleury's played 4 games. Lankinen's played 3. That's getting close to 50-50, a lot closer, because that's what we were kind of hoping for, is that Fleury's going to be a volume goalie. He's going to see a ton of shots against. It's just not happened that way so far. 7 games into Chicago's season, I kind of expected 6-2 or something like that, but neither goalie's playing well, so you can't really ride the hot hand here. But are you worried that Lankinen is going to start to creep in and take some of those starts?
I'm not worried. I think it's the team as a whole just doesn't have it figured out right now. I don't think anyone's blaming Fleury for the losses. I'd still see it be 60-40 or 65-35 split by the end of the year still. But I mean, there's no reason to work Fleury to death right now. He's not going to save the team at this point. It just seems like a bunch of new players. A lot of changes, big, huge changes actually, which are going to pay off. I still believe they're going to pay off. It's just taken a little while to get the wheels greased up again and get everybody working together. I was kind of low on Chicago. Like I wasn't buying the hype, but I didn't think it would be anything like this. I think definitely some positive regression to come, as they say. Again, like at this, you try to sell Fleury right now. What are you going to get for him?
Oh, Jesus, like close to nothing. It's nobody even wants him at this point. I think there's been some players in the Discord who are talking about dropping him, which is a little crazy. What I think about it is like, take any of these 4-game stretch for Marc-Andre Fleury and just plant it in the middle of a season. Are you worried about a 4-game stretch where he's sub 900? No, it's just so much more pronounced. And the same thing can be said for any of these guys that we're talking about on cold streaks going forward. You plant a 4 or 5 or 6-game pointless stretch in the middle of the season, and you're not freaking out as much. Like Tyson Barrie goes 6-7 games in the middle of the season with what 2-3 points that he's got now, and you're not too worried. But because you're on frozen tools, or you're doing the math yourself and you see, oh my God, he's got a 22-point pace. Like, I don't want that. I drafted a 70-point pace player. So I do think there's a lot of panic at the beginning of the season, and we see it every year. And I feel like, a lot of the times we need to talk people down off the ledge, especially with these high pedigree kind of draft picks, draft capital players. Seth Jones, he's still got 4 points in 6 games. That's a 55-point pace, even if we're doing the math right now. Yeah, he's a -9 through 6 games, but that's what you get for playing in a plus minus league. That's what you get, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. 3 hits, 9 blocks. The periphery is almost exactly where we thought it would be. 5 minutes of power play time on ice for Seth Jones a game. 84%. This is the best power play time he's seen in his career. And he's already got 3 power play points. 3 out of his 4 points are power play points. So I see Seth Jones like in points leagues and in, categories leagues without plus minus. I still think he's going to be one of the best fantasy defensemen to have out there. It's just, everybody's making fun of him. Dmitry Filipovich is putting tweets out that are like, oh yeah, Seth Jones is as bad as we thought he was. He's good for us in fantasy. I'll tell you that right now. Like I'm happy I have Seth Jones in my teams. We don't play plus minus, so it's not affecting me that much. But you have to think that a lot of these Chicago Blackhawks get going, and maybe it's around the same time. Like, Taze needs to get going. DeBrincat will get going. I don't know. Knock on doors, because I think there's buy low opportunities all over the place in Chicago. Maybe not with Fleury, because a -9 from your best defenseman doesn't bode well for your goalies, but the forwards I'm there for. Lucas Raymond, we were talking about him. I think Zach pulled him up as a possible streamer this upcoming week. Had what, a 4-point night?
Sure did.
Sure did.
He sure did. 3 goals on 4 shots. So 75% shooting might be a little unsustainable, but he's looking good. It's not his only points of the year either. He's shooting, he's scoring.
Over a point per game, 6 games in.
Yeah. Yeah, I like him. That it's the nice thing about Detroit being shitty is guys like that get minutes. Like, he's playing on the top line a bunch with Larkin and Bertuzzi.
Decent power play time too.
What more can you ask for? Yeah, he was playing the point on the power play a bunch. So He's had a few games where he's only played 13 minutes in that range, and then he's had other games where he's played up to almost 17 minutes. So they're giving him the rope, and they bumped his playing time up and put him on the top line, and he responded with 4 points, including a power play point. So he's like you said, he's doing what Mr. Iserman thought he would do. So
Right. So is Mo Sider. Philip
Yeah.
Hronik was scratched. So there's going to be opportunity to be had. Mo Sider with 55% of the power play share. I don't think he's top power play just yet, but he is getting good power play time. 5 points in 6 games. 3 of them are power play goal or power play points. Doesn't have a goal yet, but he, the shots, only 1.2 shots a game. So if you're in a points only league, I think he starts to look a little bit better, but he's got 5 hits. He's got 7 blocks. He's doing a little bit of everything, and scoring is kind of at the forefront right now. So Mo Sider, watch out for him. And again, kind of tying into what you said, a good thing about these Detroit Red Wings and players off teams that aren't so hot is they're available. And you like I streamed Sider in. I got one of those assists, and I dropped him. And I'm not worried about somebody picking him up and keeping him. Yeah, maybe they'll have a turn on the stream, but I think I'll get him back at some point. The Habs finally hit the score sheet. They destroyed the Detroit Red Wings. But not that it matters, because Matthew Perreault had most of the goals, and Nick Suzuki is still not doing what we paid, like what we drafted him to do. Jeff Petrie still remains pointless with terrible shot volume. And like you were saying with Jones, I'm happy I don't have a ton of Jeff Petrie right now, because you sniped him for me in more than one league. What are you personally doing with Jeff Petrie? Are you listening to offers? I know you don't really sell the dip, you buy the dip. What are you thinking about Petrie here? Like, are you worried about Montreal as a whole, Jeff Petrie by himself? How are you taking it?
I have received 0 buy low offers, so I haven't had to turn anything down yet. I really don't know. I'm very sad. The whole team is just so cold. I'm looking right now. I pulled up numbers for Suzuki and Caulfield, and as some negative streaks to wonder about today. And I mean, they have 1 assist each. Suzuki has 1 power play assist, and that's it, even with the 6-1 win. Caulfield has 1 assist. Man, like, Suzuki's shooting under a shot a game. So I'm more worried about Caulfield, I think. But to me, it's more like I expected less. I didn't buy the humongous playoff hype, the undeserved playoff hype too. As we pointed out before, he didn't even have great numbers. He had a couple super flashy goals,
Like,
at good times.
55 point pace, something around there.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like right now, I was expecting more of like as I expected from Lafreniere before. Like, it's like he's an exciting rookie for the team, but for fantasy, like, you can almost guarantee a lot of those types of players, their first half till they get settled in the league sucks. And how's Caulfield supposed to settle into his scoring ways when the team is scoring about a goal a game? It's tough, man. I'm really worried about Montreal.
Yeah,
I was higher on Suzuki going into the year, but
he is not providing that Pete Jensen level hype that was advertised over the summer when he was in the top 75. I wonder if they're going to talk about that. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, it's the whole team. The whole team is down right now. I think they're figuring shit out. On the 32 Thoughts podcast, I heard Jeff and Elliot talking about, they're trying to find a new identity because there was so much turnover, and, Price is on the shelf, Weber's on the shelf. Phil Deneau is gone. There's a lot of new faces, and there's a lot of missing faces too. So this is not a Montreal team that recognizes itself, and they're trying to figure things out. and yeah, maybe the tinfoil hats there that I think they want a better draft pick for the draft that they're hosting in Montreal. Sure, maybe that's a thing, but I don't know. They were also a team that made it to the Stanley Cup final last year. Whether it was sheer dumb luck, they still beat really good teams to get there. And when tying it back to Jeff Petrie, I have him in my unsustainably cold section right here. Like he's too cold, too cold. But what gives me pause is there's no shots to kind of fall back on. 1.3 shots per game at this point. He's getting terrific minutes, terrific power play time on ice, the best of his career in both categories. Um, and you would expect a lot more, especially in the points department. Like almost 4 minutes power play time on ice, almost 24 minutes a night. And I guess the answer to it all is that Montreal's just not scoring. So how is he supposed to get on goals that don't exist? And he's not shooting. I think Suzuki has he has under 2 shots a game too. Like the big boys aren't doing anything. So you're looking at a bunch of Canadians who are being buoyed by Jonathan Drouin and Matthew Perreault. That's not the way this team is supposed to look right now. Toffoli's supposed to be shooting lights out. Um, I don't know. This is a team that's very much in flux, needs to figure out their shit. And I think once they do, we're gonna see a bounce back from a lot of these guys. So what do you think? Is Jeff Petrie a buy low, or is this kind of like a cautionary tale with defensemen just being so crazy variant? Like, do we blame last year for being too pronounced, too amplified? And Jeff Petrie, number one, coming back down to earth, and two, falling past the earth's crust and going into the core. Like what is what is really happening here? Did he pass the regression mean and go so far into unsustainably?
Oh, this is super unsustainably low. He's last year was, probably a better. Definitely, the first half was awesome for him, but I'm the previous years he's always been good, and every time, other than this time, every time Weber's gone out, he's always done great. It's always been kind of like the Crosby Malkin thing. When one of them goes, the other one picks up the slack even more. Petrie's always done that. Um, I didn't think last year was as shocking. His production was as shocking as a lot of people did, but this is definitely shocking. If I didn't already have him, I would be trying to get him right about now because I absolutely think it's going to turn around.
Petrie had 25 points in the first 27 games last year. So you're not wrong. Like his first half was insane. And then he had 17 points in the last 28 games. So I mean, he was even pretty good down the stretch,
Mm-hmm.
but especially good right out of the gate. And out of the gate this year is just flatline, absolute flatline. So I don't know. The guy's chugging power play time on ice. They beat up on Detroit, but it was none of the big boys. So I don't know what to expect. I need to see these shots come back before there is even close to a sign of hope. Maybe I would buy low if you're in a deep roster and you can get him for somebody, like swing a Shattenkirk. It's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But if you can genuinely buy low on Jeff Petrie, I would go for it. He's a guy that bangs. So traditionally,
I mean, if you look at Montreal's lineup right now, it's confused. Like it's the looking at daily face-off right now. For example, they got Suzuki, Gallagher, and Hoffman on the top line. That is not at all
they're
what they
throwing
wanted.
darts.
Yeah, it's not what they wanted their top line to be. I mean, right now they've got their third line is Toffoli, Perreault, and Caulfield, and of that, Perreault is the only one doing anything. It's a shitstorm. But
So
I think
yeah,
by
go
the
ahead.
end of the season they will be much better than they are now, but they won't be in the playoffs. Definitely not in the playoffs. They're definitely a lottery team.
I forget which Adam Sandler movie it was because all Adam Sandler movies are the same to me, but I think it was like Billy Madison, where they throw pickles at the window and then they're racing to see which one wins. I think it was Billy Madison. It's either, it could have been any of them.
It
But
was.
That's what Montreal's doing. That's what Dominic Ducharme is doing right now. He's throwing pickles at the window, and he wants to see which set of line combinations actually sticks and which pickle gets to the bottom of the glass first, I guess. And I think there's going to be a lot of movement here. So we'll see. I don't know. I think Jeff Petrie will be fine. I don't think he'll come close to, and this is no surprise. This is stuff we've said in the offseason here. Looking at his last 5 years, going 5 years back or 4 years back, because it was 29-point pace the other year. He's been really good for 4 years. 42-point pace, 46, 46, 63. So like 63 really stands out. He's a 40 to 45-point guy, with upside for 50, I think, because he is going to see a lot of this power play time. It's just shit needs to change.
Yeah.
They need to get going. Speaking of changes that have worked, Austin Matthews scored his first goal off a Michael Bunting dish, and that has Michael Bunting on the top line. Nick Ritchie bumped down to the fourth line. Austin Matthews scores a goal. Michael Bunting's on the top line. This looks like something that they're going to chase. It worked. They got 1 point out of Matthews here. Still nothing for Marner, but yeah, I think Michael Bunting is solidified for at least a short time into that top line spot. How do you feel about Michael Bunting right now?
I know that in a league where he was available, I grabbed him for tonight. So I know that much.
Got points.
I know Toronto is another team that's just kind of floundering right now. They hang their hat on Matthews and Marner, 23 million dollars a year worth, and you're getting better production out of Jason Spezza right now. So another team. I mean, yes, they got a point from Matthews, but it was the only goal of the game again tonight. So it could be the big difference, I guess, with Toronto is they don't have it's not like Montreal or like another team, Winnipeg. I want to talk about in a bit, where there's lots of players to move around. Like Toronto has a top line, and it sucks right now. But you cannot, no one's gonna sell low on Marner or Matthews. Unfortunately, I don't think.
Yeah, I have Mitch Marner in my too cold section. Like, this guy's been flirting with 100 points for 2 seasons now, 3 seasons even. Like, I don't know. I had to put words together to say that, like, I think Mitch Marner's still a really good player. So I did. Like, his on ice shooting percentage is like under 3% at the moment. Probably went up after Austin Matthews scored a goal, but everything just points to like bad luck at this point. Mitch Marner did not forget how to play hockey. He's still probably going to flirt with 100 points. Something is just in the water in Montreal, in Toronto. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the goalies. Like, they always had Freddie there, and he was steady Freddie, and you know they were comfortable with that. Now they're trying to figure out how they're going to play in front of Campbell. Eventually, whenever Mrazek comes back, if Mrazek comes back at this point, I feel like he's always hurt. Maybe they're just trying to figure out a system that works in front of their goalie. I honestly, I can't tell you. I haven't read enough Toronto news to know what's going on there. All I know is that Mitch Marner is still a good hockey player. So
I think he's
I'm
fine.
really not worried. I think he's fine.
I don't think Matthews forgot how to score or anything like that. I think Tavares is still his boring but solid good self. Nylander has been great other than tonight, but yeah, it's the one thing I saw that they were actually having to talk to Marner. I can't remember if this was on 31 Thoughts or if it was on the Merrick show, but they were talking about actually having to talk to Marner about shutting off his social media.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he just in his head too much?
They're just, I guess that's the angle. They're trying to look for some reason to blame it somewhere. Maybe he's distracted. I don't know. He's awesome. Like, I love watching the guy play, but he just, like I heard Jeff Merrick say earlier today, like, even the stuff that, he normally does in his sleep, he's struggling with right now. He's gripping his stick, as they say. But I think it does go to show, like they've been trying to blame everything, all their defensive problems. They've been trying to pin on Freddie Anderson for the last couple of years, and every slump or whatever, it's always like, oh well, we got to get rid of Anderson. We got to get rid of Anderson. It's like, why? He's not the problem.
Yeah, you did.
You saw what happened to him
They did.
tonight.
Yeah. The worst part about this, I think, is like I don't know if anybody's selling Mitch Marner low. It's first, second, third round pick, depending on where and how deep your league is. But I don't think anybody's selling Mitch Marner low. If you can find somebody, I 100% do it. Like, send a Lindholm for Marner offer if you got tacos in your league. But I don't think anybody's parting with Marner. Not with what they. Not no. I just don't see it.
No, and you know what? Since this is on the topic of Toronto, I need to complain hugely about that game because although I did hugely, I did bet for Carolina in one set of bets, but I threw another. Every day I throw a bet at the wall where I bet on trying to parlay every single game of the night. And tonight I nailed every game, but for some reason on that ticket I put the Leafs to win.
They got to break out of it at some point.
I thought they might, and they definitely 4-1 again. Almost as embarrassing as losing 5-1 to the Sabres when you just won the Stanley Cup.
Jeez. Well, yeah, they lost to Freddie. Freddie remains very hot. Carolina just kind of under the radar. I don't know if it's like expected, but Svechnikov is lighting it up. Aho's doing spectacular. Same can be said for Teravainen. No problems there. No problems.
Carolina's great.
Okay, that's all I got in the way of storylines. Let's start off with some guys that are way too hot. Who do you got as your first too hot?
Well, we kind of touched on it. You could just say the Red Wings, but I do like Raymond and Seider and Bertuzzi. I love those three, and I think they all are going to be doing well, but not this well. I don't know what I can't remember what Bertuzzi's points per game are right now, but man, he's definitely not going to be. I think in a points per game sense, he might even be approaching McDavid right now, but he's too hot.
I don't know if he's that hot.
He's a good player, but he's too hot right now.
I think McDavid's close to like 2.5 points a game.
Yeah, he's something else. And oddly enough, I consider that sustainable in his case. I don't consider it sustainable in most of these Detroit guys' case.
I think with McDavid, I don't think he gets enough airtime on any podcast whatsoever. Like, we just need to take a second to appreciate the gravity that is Connor McDavid. It doesn't come up enough, because okay, McDavid's doing really well, so we don't need to talk about it. But it's insane what he's putting together this year. Insane. It's like 50 points in his last 20 games or some shit. Like, dude, it's otherworldly. It's something we just haven't seen.
Yeah, he's legitimately. Like, I hope nobody's arguing about who the best player in the world is anymore. I mean, people, it's kind of like Gretzky back in the day, where no one wants to like someone who's just that good. Like, it's always like, well, but maybe Matthews is better, or maybe, whoever. And then at some point, the guy's on a 200-point pace. You just got to kind of go, okay, the guy's the fucking best. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I'm right there with you about Lucas Raymond. I don't think he's a 96-point player, but again, I think that's just a victim of small sample size. 7 points in 6 games will inflate your stats a little bit. 25% shooting percentage. What I do like are his shot rates. No hits so far, but the time on ice is fine. Power play time on ice is something we can hang our hat on, getting 54% of the time. But the time on ice, 15 minutes for a rookie. You want to see more, but also you got to think, like what you were saying, is some nights he's getting 17, some nights he's getting 12 or 13. So it's really in flux. Raymond for me in 12-team redrafts is a stream in, stream out kind of guy. And I think, until he proves otherwise. I think he is safe to stream out. Staying with McDavid, I had Jesse Puljujarvi, who we all love. There's no, I don't know if there's anybody out there that's rooting against him. But the on ice shooting percentage is insane. It's like 25%. That's what happens when you play with Connor McDavid. It's what's going to happen. McDavid's got 13 points in his last 5 games. And, Pooji, on the other hand, is reaping those benefits. So there's part of me that's like, okay, is playing with McDavid sustainable for Puljujarvi? I think it is. Is what is he got? Like 130 point pace at this point? I don't think he's that guy. I don't think Puljujarvi is even point per game. So for him to come back to maybe 65, 70 in an optimistic sense, that's half of his scoring rate right now. That means he needs to slow down by like 200% to get somewhere that I feel is sustainable. So there's going to be insane regression. Jesse Puljujarvi, as much as it's going to pain me, is my number one candidate for sell high.
Yeah.
And if you compare it with like a buy low Alex DeBrincat, what do you think? Like long term, who wins that?
Well,
because there's risk baked into both sides. Like maybe Puljujarvi has this insane year and goes off, and the other side, the risk that's baked in there is maybe Chicago and DeBrincat have a very much a down year, and DeBrincat's shooting percentage has cratered in the past to the point where like you can, maybe there's some flashbacks going on there, but I don't know, like DeBrincat for Puljujarvi. If you can pull it off, are you taking DeBrincat there?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't do that exact trade, but I did throw out a few offers with my Puljujarvi today. I have him in a couple of leagues, and
the plural.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's gonna have a fantastic year. I think he's going to probably. I was still anticipating he's going to finish around 70 points, somewhere around there. But that being said, as you pointed out, right, that does mean like to finish with a great year of 70, even 75 points, his rates need to come way down from where they are right now to end up. And I'm down for that. Regression. Yeah. I wouldn't be disappointed if I have to keep him. I'll keep him, but I think it is a perfect time to try to sell him at his absolute peak.
That's something that worried me is the rate stats. They haven't gone up at all. He like the shots have not gone up in tandem with his time on ice. He's gotten almost 2 minutes extra time on ice, and his shots on goal per game have gone up 0.1. That's 8 shots over an 82 game season, if anybody's counting. So like the shot rates have not gone anywhere essentially, and the time on ice has gone way up. So I don't know if it's like, why shoot when you have guys like that on your line that you can pass to, but at the same time, like you want to see the shot rates go up, especially in a per game sense. Like per minute, fine. If they stay the same, but even if they stay the same, you're playing more minutes, they should go up. So I don't know if the rate stats stayed similar, I'd feel a little bit better about it. He's still hitting enough where he's beyond holdable. But I don't know. It's hard to think that Puljujarvi is going to hit point per game. I think the value is at its highest. I think expectations are at its highest. The hype is at its highest. I don't see a better time to trade Puljujarvi. And that's me saying it right now, October 25th, maybe next week. The expectations are higher. Value is higher. But for me, it's a perfect time to sell high. I think you can go out, you can get Puljujarvi for somebody. You can sell him. I don't know. I like a DeBrincat as a target, somebody that's down, that should come back to life and is going to pay steady point per game dividends. Somebody I think you can come up on.
Yeah, for sure. I think there seems to be the most hype around him, and a little bit for whatever reason, there's less hype at this point. Like the year started out, tons of hype around Hyman, who kind of maybe you could say he stumbled out of the gates in the first few games, but he's got 4 goals in his last 2 games himself.
Yep. And so the weirdest thing about him is his on-ice shooting percentage is in the sustainable range. Like I like where Hyman is at, looking at his at his stats at this point in the season, you look at it and there's no extreme red flags. There's nothing that's like, oh my God, like, this is too much at this point. And Hyman just makes sense.
Yeah, I like both of those guys. I think both of them are right now, specifically right now, good sell highs. The other one who's on the Oilers, who we did bring up last episode, I should say, was Cassian. And in the next game, he got himself another goal and another 7 hits. So
The hits, I think, are sustainable.
the
And going
hit,
back to Hyman, I want to say about Hyman before somebody chirps me on Twitter, I know his shooting percentage is 42%. Okay. So not everything is sustainable, but his on ice shooting percentage is in a comfy range. So yeah, he's gonna come back down to earth on the shooting percentage. He's not gonna go goal per game over the course of the year, but I think Hyman is still somebody I have in the 65-point range.
I think, I mean, you look at all these guys we're mentioning, obviously McDavid. We didn't mention Draisaitl, the second best player in the world. He's doing just fine too, but everything besides Barry is clicking in Edmonton. So that's
Yeah,
a
I have Barry. I mean, if we want to go right there, he is way too cold for me. Way too cold.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know if you have him on your list, but for me, Petrie, he's been on the ice for 8 goals. He's only gotten in on 2 of them. So right there, you have a 25% IPP. Um, I'd be waiting it out a little bit because even though Bouchard overshadowed him in regular time on ice in the last game, Barry still logged a minute 30 power play time on ice, and Bouchard had 22 seconds. So there's a lot of hype coming from other outlets and things like that about Bouchard at this point. But when it comes down to the power play, it's Barry. And I think, given the state of Edmonton's defense, I'm not afraid of, him getting sheltered on the third pairing and only a power play role. They don't have other options. They have Duncan Keith, they have Cody Ceci, they have Slater Cuckoo. Um, they don't have defensemen outside of Darnell Nurse who can responsibly handle the puck. So like it comes back to like if we're hanging out in the woods and we see a bear, I don't need to be faster than the bear. I just need to be faster than you. And if I'm in the woods with 5 other defensemen who are just as bad as me, I don't need to be better at defense than the bear. I just need to be better than the other 5 schmucks that are in there. And Barry, he's amongst friends when it comes to that defense group. Let's say it nicely like that. Those are colleagues,
Call Piers, yeah,
Yeah, definitely peers.
yeah, it's
With the exception of Nurse. So like if he is going to get unseated, it would be by Nurse, who in this same game where Bouchard had 22 seconds power play time, Nurse had a minute 55 to Barry's minute 30. So again, it's Groundhog Day because last year we were talking about exactly the same thing. Nurse took over power play 1, and Barry at the end of the year led defenseman in points. So again, I'm not worried. I'm just simply not worried. I am buying low on the Tyson Barry train, 100%.
me too.
Yeah, if he's going to quarterback the best power play in the NHL, sign me up with McDavid, who's going to score fucking 150 points this year. If he slows down, Jesus, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
Jesus.
so awesome. I love it.
All right, who do you got? Too hot. Keep on going.
Well, I had a pair of Jets actually, a pair of Winnipeg Jets. Uh, PLD is one of them. Goals in his last 4 straight, 6 points over that span. His last 3 games in a row, he's taken 1 shot and it's gone in. So in his last 3 games, he does have 100% shooting, which is a little high. You get some hits with him as well, which he's been doing, but he hasn't actually been hitting as much as he used to because he's just been scoring. So I don't think goal every game is to be expected for the rest of the year. But, he was junk last year for all kinds of reasons, never got settled in. The team was wonky. His whole transition to the team was kind of didn't happen properly. And it seems like he's figuring shit out. And I'd expect a good solid, maybe 65-point pace from him for the year now. Back to kind of what we expected, what we've always wanted. It just didn't see last year. I think last year was just a terrible anomaly for him.
It does seem like a bit of like a revenge tour, a little bit. If it's possible to be a frustrated PLD owner, you found him. It's me. In my home league, we have 3 center spots, and I have McKinnon, Pedersen, Trocheck. And every time PLD goes off, all 3 of those other centers are playing, and I don't have room for fucking PLD just because I'm scarred from last year. And I'm like, he's not going to do it. Pedersen's, he'll turn it on this game. And every time I'm leaving points on the bench for Pedersen's one shot. And it's tough. It's
And
tough, but
PLD's got a couple of power play goals too, right? So
that's right. Yeah, I think he is on the top unit. I think they got rid of Stasny up there. All right, I got Cam Atkinson. A little hometown hate going on here, and it's not hate. It's just like I want to throw cold water on this because that whole line is doing really well. Broussard, Farabee, Atkinson. They are shooting up a storm. You look at the on ice shooting percentage. That's where I'm getting most of my unsustainability numbers right now. They're upwards of 18% higher than they're expected to be. Atkinson's personal shooting percentage is close to 30%. What is nice is Atkinson shooting 3.5 times a game. You look back to his 40 goal season. Yeah, he was playing next to Artemi Panarin, but he was shooting 3.7 times a game. So if we're like setting the bar at, I think we set it at 33 a couple episodes ago, I think it's there. If the shot rate can stay, and you got Kevin Hayes coming in, somebody who's a better playmaker, I think, than Derek Brassard. Maybe there's chemistry there. Maybe there's chemistry lost, but you're not going to be in a worse position because you're playing with Kevin Hayes instead of Derek Brassard. What is weird is that I think he lost 2 minutes of time on ice from Columbus, like coming in from Columbus. He's down 2 minutes, and his shot rates have gone up. So that just tells you how insane he has been in the shot department. So there is a ton of unsustainability here. I think Atkinson's got 4 goals in 6 or 7 games by now, but with Atkinson, I'm in a weird spot because I want to say sell high, but I just don't know what you can get selling high off somebody you picked off the waivers last week. Like, what can you realistically get for Atkinson at this point? Maybe you knock on like Jonathan Marchessault's door because he's been kind of butt cheeks to start the season. Like, I think I'd rather have Marchessault than Atkinson. Maybe the ... part of Atkinson is something that I want to find out. But that's just a more reason to hold him because I think, he might wind up being a drop at some point this season. We saw JVR go absolutely bonkers last year and then tapered off in the second half. So maybe that happens here with Atkinson. We don't know at this point, but I do know he's not going to be shooting 30%, at the end of the year. So again, it's just a weird spot because you want to sell high, but I just don't know if you can get a return that's like feasible. So for that reason, I think I might just want to hold on to Cam Atkinson, see where this takes me.
Yeah, I could feel that. I could feel that for sure. It's a risky hold, but you might as well because, like you said, you probably didn't pay anything for him.
And yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't think there's too many people who are expecting him to be incredible. So I don't know if you'd get much for him. Same with my next fellow here, back to the Jets with Nate Schmidt. I was calling for him to have a good season in Winnipeg because he is a good defenseman. He got really no love down in Vegas, and then he came to Vancouver and was confused why he was here, kind of. And now in Winnipeg, he's kind of sort of the veteran locker room dude, and it's he was pointless in his first couple of games, and he's got 6 assists in the last 3, half of them on the power play. So a good streak. But speaking of streak wise, I don't think 2 points a night is going to be his average. I think he's a good guy to stream if you need a defenseman right now. Winnipeg's been scoring, their last few games have been 6 goals, 5 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals. So they've been scoring a lot, and he's been getting a lot of power play time. Dude does not shoot. He's just an assist and block man, but
Did you hear that beep?
no.
No, it's just on my side. That was strange. Anyway, oh shit. I wonder if okay, we're good. Never mind. My earphones unplugged at a certain point, and sometimes my Audacity stops running if my earphones get unplugged. That was like a half hour ago, so we'd have been fucked. And I don't know if are you recording the? Yeah, we'd have been super fucked. I'm not recording the Zoom either. Oh well, we have the YouTubes.
Yeah,
YouTubes are here.
We're good.
Yeah, we have backups on backups here. All right, so for my last too hot guy, it's Elias Sunholm. And this is hard because I love Lindholm, Elias. Yeah, he's shooting 36%. That's going to be a trend on Tuesday trends until we get deep into the season where there's like, things level out. 6 of his 7 points are goals, but he's shooting pretty good. He's shooting, he had a 7-shot game, the game in which he had a hat trick. So I don't expect over a goal per game, but he's been a steal so far. I like him to get around 75 points. So he's not somebody I'm selling. He contributes in a bunch of categories. You probably could sell high, but I think the best you can do for an Elias Lindholm trade is a lateral trade. So I'm just holding Lindholm. That's it. That's all I want to do. I don't see, I don't think anybody's going to come up off a Lindholm trade. And if you can, go for it. Absolutely. Anytime you can win a trade, go for it. But I don't know. Like I like him in bangers leagues, especially because he does contribute to hits and apparently shots. Like he's shooting a lot and he's scoring goals. Deployment is as good as it's going to get. And Daryl Sutter seems to really like him as the number 1C. So I like Elias Lindholm. I'm not getting rid of him, but I also don't think he's scoring a goal per game or more. So things are going to level out, of course. But I think in the long term, I think he hits 75 points, maybe point per game. Don't think point per game, but 75 seems pretty good. Give or take a few on either side. So yeah, I'm comfy with Lindholm. I just don't think 36% is a comfortable shooting percentage. It's kind of silly doing unsustainable this soon into the season, but
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Everything's wrong at this point.
Everything is wrong.
Buffalo just floored Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh with nobodies flooring everybody.
This is a bizarre world.
Yeah, it's a weird time. My too cold that I have to bring up. You already brought up is my man Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, too cold for me.
Yeah, I mean 3 points on the season, 1 point in his last 4 games. But what's the most disconcerting for me as a fan and way too much of an owner? First couple of games, he had 6 shots a game, and since then he's been down to 1 and 2 shots. And his time on ice has gone down 6 minutes a game. Like 6 minutes a game. I don't see them like benching Elias Pettersson or anything like that, but he's not.
That's a lot of minutes.
He's not feeling the flow. And yeah, when he's down from 23 and a half, 22, and now he's down under 17. He's in the 16s, so he's just not putting out right now. And the thing that compounds it is since that's happened, the team has won every game. So when he's playing less, the team is doing better right now, which is hopefully a coincidence, probably a coincidence. And for everything I live for, I have to believe it's a coincidence, and he's going to be back to a 75, 80 point pace here on out. I'm fucking hoping.
How do you feel about Connor Garland?
Oh, I feel all kinds.
He's been a great pickup, but like as far as sustainability goes, what do you think?
It's totally unsustainable. I mean, I don't have
a lot of secondary assists. 80% of his assists are secondary.
I'm not
just 3,
too worried about that from watching him play. Like when you watch him on the ice, it seems like he should be getting this many points. Like he really is the most noticeable player when he's out there, and he's just flying. His beard adds 20 pounds of toughness as well.
I want to see
But
him shoot
yeah,
more. Where did those shots go? He's
he
under 2 a game.
he doesn't really
It's
do that.
weird.
He doesn't really do
He
that
should.
here.
He should
Yeah, but
bring it
man,
back. That's why I liked him.
so you got 7 points in 5 games so far.
8 points in 6.
8 points in 6. So there you go.
Yeah, man.
I was hoping he'd be 60, 65 points, and I would have been a happy camper. I think that's definitely in the cards. I think 65 points is probably it.
Vladimir Tarasenko has over 5 shots a game through 5 games.
Did you see his goal tonight?
Yeah. 2 goals tonight.
Did you see it, though?
I did not.
Oh, you'll be seeing it. It'll be on the highlights for a couple of days. That's for sure.
What I don't like is his time on ice. He is like top 5 shots per 60. 18 shots per 60, which is nuts. Over 5 a game. I'd be trying to see if anybody's willing to sell Tarasenko, but after a 2-goal game, you're probably going to pay up pretty good. I love shots, so I'm attracted to this. But I think there's enough in St. Louis where they don't want to give him primo time on ice because they're probably still trying to trade him. So I don't really know what's up there. 15 minutes tonight, he still had 2 goals. 15-21. 15-40 the last game. 17-31 the game before that. But then, you go a couple games back and he played 13 minutes. Yeah. And that's even more impressive. That's why his shots per 60 are so high, because he's just not seeing a ton per game, and he's still got over 5 shots a game, which is nuts. I just wanted to say that and, appreciate Tarasenko a little bit, because I've done my fair share of trash talking. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that Rob Thomas was doing okay. I'll give him an okay.
It seems like Tarasenko is playing as if he wants a trade to get done now. He wants somebody to want him.
Yeah. Come on, New Jersey. Where are you? Do you got anybody left? Too hot, too cold?
We kind of trashed Montreal enough. That whole team can go in the cold bin with not much signs of turning around, but should. But yeah, that was. That's all I have on my list. Like you said, it's still early. There's all these streaks are gonna come and go. There's definitely stuff that's going to change. I think it happens every year, and it's happening now. And now's about the time when things start to settle into patterns. So I think, these people with the crazy hot streaks, you'll see regress back down, and some of these guys who are the kind of the boring thing, like the first couple weeks are so exciting because there's all this stuff that's just way out of whack and it's fun to talk about. But I think, right around now we're going to start seeing I wanted to talk about how cold Batherson was when I started
2 goals.
Notes.
2 goals tonight, yeah.
3. I think he got a third.
Did he really?
If I'm not mistaken, I think he got a third. But yeah, I started writing notes. He hadn't scored for fuck all. And then by the time I got to his name on my notes, he had a fantastic night. And so now, if you look at his year-long stats, they look fine all of a sudden.
All of a sudden. Just like that. And that right there is exactly, kind of case in point, part and parcel with small sample sizes. Just like that one game can turn around your full season stats. So that's it for Tuesday Trends. Next week, we will have more trends to talk about. If you guys want to talk about somebody that's playing too well, buy low, sell high, you can hit us up in the Discord. My hours have been crazy lately in work, so I'm sorry to, there was a few people that tried to get a hold of me today while I was in the middle of the shits. But, I'll be there at night times most of the time. So hit us up in the Discord, hit up the other bunch of other people that are in there. You guys can talk about sustainable, unsustainable. We're always happy to get there when we can. Hit us up on Twitter at FHF Hockey. And till next time, we'll catch you. Love you.
Love you. Oh yeah,
Boop.
4-point night for Batherson actually.
God, what a game.